This is just from today. Alabama lawmakers would define man and woman based on sperm and ova. Like, this is where conservatives are right now. This is insane. Alabama lawmakers are advancing legislation that would strictly define who is considered female and male based on their reproductive systems. Opponents said this move could erode the rights of transgender and intersex people in the state, obviously. Let's see. It defines sex based on reproductive anatomy and says schools and local governments can establish single-sex spaces such as bathrooms based on those definitions. First, oh my, okay, woo. Okay, just real quick. If you're basing your state definition of male and female off of sperm and ova, what happens if a child is pre-puberty? Right? Like, obviously, like, this is... Well, I mean, genital inspections are actually, like, not the worst case scenario here, weirdly enough. Though those are certainly on the table. If the legislation is based on sperm and ova, children aren't making sperm. To my knowledge, they're not making sperm yet. Also, again, if this is the way you're defining it, like, again, we have to go back to what about women who are infertile? What about men who shoot blanks? Do they stop being men? Do those women stop being women? Ova are present from birth, but does it only count if they come out of the body? Like, you can, again, when we're talking about intersex people, right? Intersex people can be born with ova, but also have the capacity to make sperm. So, like, what this definition breaks their system. It's which one they will produce, assuming nature is allowed to take its course. But again, what if they don't have either? Also, how could you possibly know in what direction their body will go once puberty hits? You can make a set of assumptions. Of course, you can make a set of assumptions that will be right in a lot of cases, but not in every case. Let's take a look here. The bills are part of a wave of legislation in Republican states that seek to regulate which bathrooms transgender people can use. This is so stupid. I hated living through this 5 years ago. I hate living through this again. My God. Let's see. The bill states that that a female is someone who, barring accident or anomaly, has a reproductive system that at some point produces ova. But again, barring accident or anomaly, could one not make the argument that a trans woman is a woman who doesn't create ova through anomaly? Could you not make that argument? This seems to be a very, like, I'm not gonna lie, this seems to just be it is just legislation to discriminate against trans people. That's the only reason it exists. The only reason this legislation exists is to make trans people want to kill themselves. Unironically. Unironically, the only reason legislation like this from Republicans exists is to encourage trans kids to kill themselves, is to encourage trans adults to kill themselves. So if you're watching this, I love you. Okay? Don't do that. The most punk, the most metal, the most badass thing you can do is to continue living to spite these greasy old fucks who are trying to convince you that the world hates you. That it would be better off without you. They're wrong. Continue living and get old enough to be able to beep. I'm just self-censoring for terms of service. But get old enough to be able to fight back effectively against these old, wretched ghouls who will be remembered in the dustbin of history. The bill requires any state-supported entity collecting information related to sex to identify each individual as either male or female at birth. This is the more insidious part of the bill, by the way, which is essentially collecting this portion of the bill right here, collecting information about male or female at birth. This is dangerous because it directly associates that information with state-supported entities. Meaning that the state would, through this legislation, be able to compile a list of trans people in the state. The only reason to compile a list of trans people in the state is to target them. That's it. That's the only reason. I'm here to say that I'm literally just a woman. I'm also transgender. People like me have always existed, and it's okay that we exist, Allison Montgomery told the County and Municipal Government Committee. Montgomery said what proponents are seeking would mean that men who have taken testosterone for years and have developed full beards would be required to use women's restrooms because their bodies once produced ova. It's not clear how the proposal would impact people who are considered intersex or born on a combination of male and female biological traits. The committee added language that sex can be designated as unknown on state records, when sex cannot be medically determined for developmental or other reasons. The legislation is at odds with decades of medical research, obviously, showing that gender is a spectrum, not a binary structure. A lot of this is background info. But basically, yeah, again, at the bottom of all of this, right? All that is being done here is virtue signaling to give a gigantic middle finger to trans people. That's it. All this is red meat for the Republican base. And that's because cruelty is what is popular to the Republican Party. The cruelty is the point here. And I mean, frankly, Allison Montgomery is right. All this does is wind up putting trans men into women's spaces and trans women into men's spaces. And in either case, it ends poorly for the trans person. Because if a trans woman goes into a men's bathroom, they're at a greater risk for assault, sexual or otherwise. If a trans man goes into a women's bathroom, any man who sees that, any cis man who sees that happen is going to assume, there's a guy in there to rape those ladies. That doesn't end very well for the trans guy. So all of this is designed to, and I've said this before about bathroom bills, I'm saying it again now, all of it is designed to make it impossible to exist in public as a trans person. That's what these bills do. These bills are designed through fear and intimidation to make sure we stay home, that we aren't out in public, that people can't meet us and learn that we're just regular human beings. It's designed to be that way. It's designed to make us scary. It's designed to make us the monsters in society, so that then we can be targeted and, purged to rapturous applause from Republicans. And of course, Nikki Haley, seeking to set herself apart from all of the other candidates, supports the Alabama Supreme Court's resolution. Embryos to me are babies, she says. Adding that she used artificial insemination to have her son, a different process than IVF that doesn't present the same complexities around creating embryos in a lab. When you talk about an embryo, you're talking about, to me, that's a life. And so I do see where that's coming from when they talk about that. Oh, well, I had a baby in a different way. But it was an okay way. I'm one of the good ones. Just God. Here's a statement from the University of Alabama at Birmingham. Quote, "We are saddened that this will impact our patients' attempt to have a baby through IVF, but we must evaluate the potential that our patients and our physicians could be prosecuted criminally or face punitive damages for following the standards of care for IVF treatments." Yeah. It's literally like a cutting the rope after you climb up situation.